Oh, hey guys! Hi everybody, my name is Ian Boswell, and this is my breakdown of the Bioshock trailer. I should say Bioshock Infinite trailer. And I'm going to be pausing the video like this and just sort of commentating on what I'm seeing. And what we saw, this is a trailer that ran, to give everybody some feedback here, this is a trailer that ran during the Spike VGAs, which is a show that's normally watched by some people in the games industry, but I'd say it's more often watched by, you know, frat boys and that sort of thing. And the show is actually judged by some very, you know, high up people in the industry. But this was a trailer which was intended to try to draw in that Call of Duty kind of audience, so it focused a lot more on the gameplay and only showed a little bit of the story to tease them. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to give away too much of the story either. And I've actually had the opportunity, just so we're clear, to actually play Bioshock Infinite, and I really, really, really liked what I saw. There's only so much I can really talk about. Like, I liked that they used, you know, old-time religion as like the main sort of theme for the game, and you know how, in contrast to, you know, Somewhere Beyond the Sea from the previous incarnation. Also, you need to understand that this is from the people who made Bioshock 1. Bioshock 2 was not made by the people who made Bioshock 1. So in all respect, this is a true sequel to the Bioshock franchise. It feels like a sequel to the Bioshock franchise. I don't see any of the new ideas from Bioshock 2 introduced in this game at all. It's all just Bioshock 1 ideas that have been expanded upon. It plays a lot like Bioshock 1. There are some new things you'll see, like iron sights and stuff, and we'll go over them. But first, let's just go ahead and play the trailer right now and look at what's going on. So he's on some kind of a platform that I think Songbird was supposed to stand on. I don't really know what's going on here, but let's just keep going and see what's going on with this. So he falls down, but I think it wasn't very secure, and he's in some kind of a library, and here we meet, you know, Elizabeth for the first time. We see her looking all innocent, and she kind of seems almost otherworldly compared to like how the other characters appear. She has sort of a modern sensibility, a modern look to her that feels a bit out of place, and we don't really know much about her other than that she's not supposed to be from here. And like even like the artifacts, like her teddy bear and like her coloring book, are put on display as admirable things that, you know, need to be taken seriously. Also, I want to point out the book she's reading has in her hand anyway. She doesn't look like she's reading it with the cover closed. But the book is The Odyssey by Homer. It was a sequel to the Iliad, and it's about this guy who basically, you know, is trying to return from the Battle of Troy after doing the whole Trojan horse thing, and he wants to get back to his wife Penelope. And along the way, he runs into a Cyclops, and he convinces the Cyclops his name is Nobody, and so, like, he stabs the Cyclops in the eye, and he's like, "My brothers, I've been stabbed in the eye. Who did it? Nobody." "Oh, just go back to sleep." So, yeah, there's a bunch of, like, little stories like that, like a witch turning his men into pigs, and he goes to, like, Hades at one point, and just all this stuff, just to get back to his wife Penelope, and he finally makes it back there after, like, dealing with several different gods as well as having some intimate relationships with some of them, and you know, he finally wins her back and everything, and it's just like, you know, it was all about the journey and all this stuff, and it's very symbolic and fun, and it's sort of coined the term, you know, epic adventure that hadn't really been done before that, and I think it's a nice bit of symbolism for what maybe this game is trying to also say. You know, this game, their adventure they're about to be going on will be like their own little personal odyssey here.
Hello.
He says hello, and she immediately jumps back and just throws the book out the window in fear. She's just terrified by this guy. He just fell into her living quarters. Now she's throwing books at him. Unfortunately, the first book she throws was a bit obscured, so I couldn't get the cover name. The second book she throws, though, is a quantum mechanics book. I could try to rewind and pause on it, but it's kind of hard to do. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, there we go. The Principles of Quantum Mechanics by, what was that? Boblin Lettuce, but we'll see that cover again.
Will you stop it?
Now notice he has AD on his hand. That actually is relevant.
Not here to hurt you.
Who are you?
And the book is, again...
Name is DeWitt. I'm a friend. I come to get you out of here.
Get away.
Yeah, the Principles of Quantum Mechanics, right there again, by what looks like it says Robland... let me try... Whoops, sorry. Let me try and get a better view of this.
Get away.
Rosalind? Whoa. Lettuce. I wonder if that's a real book. I might actually try to like Google that later and find out if that's an actual book or not. I don't know. It might be based on something that was written a long time ago or recently. And if it's recently, then whoa. Now let's comment on the thimble thing. Now, I don't think she has a really short pinky because normally, I mean, maybe that is the length of her pinky, and maybe she's just got a thimble on it. But it looks like she might have received some kind of an injury or something. And she's using the thimble to sort of cover up her injury there. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell distance-wise. With a bit, the character's obviously a bit stylized the way they've been, depicted. So it's hard to tell if that's supposed to be their pinky length. I don't think that is. I think their pinky has received some kind of damage.
He's coming.
Now that's awesome. I'm sorry. That's just really awesome because it's a steam-powered musical thing. It's coming out of a statue, and it's got a little note, and it's cute and sinister at the same time. I love that.
You've got to go.
Why?
You don't want to be here when he gets here. Just a minute, I'm getting dressed.
I can get you out of here.
There's no...
So who's coming? Who's on their way? Is it Songbird? She's getting dressed. What does she not want you to know? So in a lot of ways, this is sort of like adding to that tension of the people who are seeing this for the first time. They're like, I don't really know what's going on here.
Wait out, trust me, I've looked. Stop it, you're too impatient, that's enough.
What about this?
What about it?
I like that little ding when he pulls up the king. Ding! Well, yeah. What about this? Yeah.
It's the way out, isn't it?
What are you... Give it to me.
That's just great. And notice, it's one of those designs where once you twirl it around, it puts the bird in the cage. It's got that kind of an intent to it, so that's kind of cool. A lot of people didn't notice that. So it's sort of based on an old, I think 1800s technique that was done on some little toys and things you'd spin around. Now, Fink MFG constructed this vault-like door to keep her locked in. One thing I did notice, because the trailer's running at about 20 FPS, this is the Xbox version, and there is one glitch that happens in one of the animation cycles here where one of the gears will actually vanish for a second. There it is. Yep. Where'd the gear go? I don't know. That bothered me. The first time I saw that happen, the first time I watched this trailer, I was like, what? Why did the gear just disappear? Why? Anyway.
It's a way out.
No, really. He just said it was a way out, and then you confirmed it was a way out, and now she says it's a way out. Now, one thing I want to say, classic Bioshock sound effect just came in when the instruction popped up.
It's a way out.
Did you hear that? Dong, ding. Yeah, that little noise with a little bit of rumble to it. Right there. That makes me happy. I don't know, just hearing that sound again makes me really happy. Alright. We talked enough about this scene. Now, caution, proceed only if specimen is properly sedated. Refer to Sedation Protocol 08312. They have a lot of precautions in place to make sure she does not leave that room, huh? Seriously, and they're calling her the specimen. Interesting, isn't it? Like, where is she from? What is she? And why do they know so much about her to want to sedate her and keep her secure? Obviously, it's something to do with tears, but we'll get to that in a bit and talk about tears.
Watch out!
Okay, so now we've cut a little forward ahead in the timeline. She's dressed differently now. She's in a different outfit, and they're getting fired upon by, I guess, a bunch of dudes in airships. It looked like they were in an elevator.
Time to go!
So now they're jumping out, and he's going to skyhook away. Now, notice, everywhere he looks, the Xbox control pops up to tell him you can jump here. That's actually really handy to have when you're trying to aim at a location, because you don't want to, like, just jump blindly at things. You can turn the dialogue boxes off, though. You'll also see there's controls. I believe the left thumbstick is throttle, left trigger to lock onto a target, B to go in reverse, A to strike, and A to dismount. So it's interesting like that. I think you have to hold down the Xbox. I'm not sure on that. So, okay, so already we're getting so much information thrown at us in just a few seconds here. We see life bars over the enemy's heads. You can turn those off, but again, they are handy to have. X is reload, so we know that. And here's an interesting thing. Iron sights. Now, the first Bioshock game, I believe, did not have iron sights. You don't have to use the iron sights, but, you know, people are used to seeing them, so they threw them into this game because a lot of people who were playtesting the game said, man, I really wish this game had iron sights, so iron sights were put in and Now, you know, you can dismount here, and look, there's an oil spill, but it's existing in another reality. So that's a tear. He can have Elizabeth for a small amount of, I believe it costs him some salts or something. She can, you know, call in the oil spill, and then he'll have something to use with an explosive, which he actually does later on in the video. Now notice he sort of, I want to say moused over. He looked over this guy, and it said strike instead of land. So now he can press A and do a dive bomb in, sort of like Batman Arkham Asylum, how you could just sort of dive bomb on people once they're within range. But in this case, he just looks at them from the skyhook, and then he's able to dive in. And now he's going to execute this move using the hook, which is kind of cool. And that was very brutal. He just slapped that guy right off and called his death, obviously. Now he's starting to use, I believe it's the fire tonic. Or no, maybe he's just doing some kind of dangerous thing. I'm not really sure what that was. Here he's got a big rocket launcher thing, and he's going to have to blow some fuels on the airboat thing. Now, another thing a lot of people are complaining about here, and this is a feature that I believe can actually be turned off, is you can actually have the white, you know, notches show up to tell you you've done damage to somebody. A lot of fans complained about this, and I because it just strays from the tradition of what Bioshock 1 was about. I don't see a problem with this. I like knowing that I hit my opponent. That's really handy to have. I don't see why this innovation that sort of came out in FPSs like Call of Duty and that's been used in just about darn near anything, and I think even Battlefield 2 used it. What's so bad about it? It's not, you know, it's now here he's using a very brutal maneuver with the skyhook, and he's killing somebody with it. You can actually decapitate people with the skyhook and do all sorts of awesome stuff with it. So it's not just one animation when you kill somebody with a skyhook. They put a few in that are all very gory. All right, so now he's using a murder of crows to just call in crows. That's another ability you probably know about from the other trailers. That guy really made a rocket. Now here we see some sort of an explosive marker here to let us know that if he fired on that part of the airboat, he could bring it down by just blowing that section up. And people start jumping out of the thing, and he's launching rockets at him, and they look painful. Now over here we see a volley gun, which is also existing in another dimension. It can be called out. Again, similarly, it's a tear. Now we get some more generic shooting and grenade throwing and stuff action. Okay, let's go back for a sec. Now his blue bar isn't really that low, but she's finding some salts to get him up. And notice at the very bottom of the screen it says press X to catch salts. So you don't have to turn and look at her or anything like that. You just press X, and then you'll rotate and grab the salts as she throws them at you, and it's perfectly timed. A lot of people said, oh, this feels like an escort mission. Well, she's escorting you. You're not escorting her. She's leading the way, and you're just kind of, you know, along for the ride. And she's there to help out a lot in combat. So this is just two examples of her getting you salts and ammo, and they wanted to show this in the trailer to increase the understanding of her usefulness. It's not just scripted events like when you make the big ball of iron and you know, throw it. There's actually a lot of cool things she's able to do. So his bar's about 40% exhausted, so she says salt, he presses X, she tosses them to you. And then instantly refills. There's no like, reloading of your blue bar used that. Oh, yes, there is. Sorry.
I got ammo.
She got ammo, so she throws some ammo. I also see a tear over there, but I don't know what the tear is. But yeah, there's salts and ammo over there, and she's just picking up and throwing them for you. So isn't it great to not have to go around looking for all the stuff that you usually need to get? She's already doing that for you. I'd say that's handy. You can still look around for it yourself and find stuff. And then she calls in, she warns you the handyman is coming. She sees the handyman in advance. The second that I saw this scene in the trailer, I started having Big Daddy flashbacks. Hard. Like, seriously severe Big Daddy flashbacks. And look at how he's interacting with that boat. The way he just sort of, like, smashed it in half. I mean, this guy's presence is a lot more gigantic feeling than the Big Daddies did, but you still get that sense you do with the Big Daddies, like, okay, big boss fight's coming up now. I'm just gonna replay that again just because how awesome that whole scene
I got ammo.
Damn. I don't like that there's a guide bar letting you know where the handyman's at, but then again, I think the first Bioshock game did have something that tells you where the Big Daddy's at too, so also you can turn that off, so. It is good to see a light bar. Now, right here, people are like, he just stands there while you wail on him. He's electrifying the rail right now. He's doing an attack, and as long as you stay on the rail, you're going to get, electrocuted, so he then holds down A to jump off. Press that. I think he pressed it down. And now he's shooting at the handyman. And then here, he uses her ability to open up the tear and give him that gas on the floor that he wanted. And then he throws the grenade down. And before we get to see a satisfying massive explosion, we cut to white. And that's the end of the trailer. So,
stop it! Will you stop it?
So there's the trailer just sort of in a nutshell. Be sure to tell me what you thought about it. Now that you've just sort of had a more in-depth sort of look at it. And I want you to understand that just from what I've played, it felt very Bioshock-ish. The whole, let's go on a tour of the city as we just sort of pan through it. Where the dramatic music comes in, and we also get to hear, old-time religion. That's there. There's also a really bizarre underlying mystery plot, who are the people on the rowboat that take you there? Why do they show up again in the city? Why do you see them occasionally, and why do they talk about you the way they do? There's just so much weird stuff that's going on in the back end here that I can't even begin to stress just how bizarre the storyline for this game really is. There's something that they haven't revealed yet that you'll only find out by playing through the game. And I know that there's going to be a much better twist ending to this than the whole "would you kindly" thing. And that's not really a spoiler if you haven't played the first Bioshock, but for those who do, you understand what I mean by that. So yeah, I don't think that we'll get a massive, super big surprise out of it, but at the same time, it's still going to be a nice twist that you'll only see coming if you've read a lot of books and read a lot of science fiction. You thought about this idea a whole lot. Otherwise, it'll be a complete surprise to you. One thing though that I think is a bit surprising about the plot, from my perspective, and the way it's all being done, is it feels fresh and interesting, but it also feels like there's a very big underlying plot that deals with morality and how people will just sort of latch on to any kind of crazy religious zealotry if they're in that sort of mindset, and also sort of goes into the mindset of the people who, we're still with the side of the Confederacy after the Revolutionary War. There's people in this game that vilify Abraham Lincoln and see him as the devil, but they consider George Washington almost a god, saint type character, who is, just this incredible figure who they respect highly, and they see, there's a lot of racism going on here. You'll hear people talk about, they'll talk about Jews and blacks and stuff a lot, and they have very negative undertones towards both, and you get that very heavily in the culture of these people, and that's something I just haven't really seen a lot of games really delve into too much, is just the racism in general. Also, I've just noticed something. When he was hitting the handyman in the heart, it was glowing a bit. Does that mean the heart is his weak point? I wonder. Anyway, that's getting off topic of what I'm saying. I'm saying the plot is really deep and interesting and actually very engaging. And when you get into the story too, it's gonna just blow you away. It really is a lot better than what the trailer so far has shown, because this trailer is about showing the gameplay, and it's, again, appealing to that frat boy audience, which is what the cover of the game is also trying to appeal to. It's a marketing strategy. The creator of the game even said in an interview, he said, I'm just paraphrasing him here, he basically was like, you know, the only way you can become the talk of the town and on the lips of, you know, the people at, like, Good Morning America and stuff like that is if you appeal to that massive audience and, you know, make something like head down, eyes up, and follow those tropes that you know are going to attract a big enough audience. And that's what they're trying to do with this, is they want to get a bigger audience than what Bioshock had, because there's still, believe it or not, a lot of people who haven't played Bioshock and don't know how good Bioshock is, and it sort of has this reputation of, oh, it's that really good game that nobody ever played, which is funny because a lot of people have played it. Everybody I know has played it, but I also felt the same way about System Shock. All my friends have played System Shock, but, you know, you look at the grander scheme of things, nobody played it. But Bioshock literally was just a copy of all of System Shock's ideas in a new setting, and that's what this is too. It's, again, it's the repeat. It's the, you know, it's where you get the ammo at, you know, the RPG mechanic for leveling, the whole, you know, magic versus, you know, shooting, you know, system. You know, you can build up your sight, or you can build, you know, whatever, and there's stats and building and stuff like that. There's character, you know, progression, and all these things are essential to the whole, like, Shock series, both System Shock and Bioshock. And, you know, I can see them trying to turn the whole Bioshock thing into a bigger franchise and make it into something more where it's not just one game but a series. And I'd really like them to maybe make more Bioshock games in the future. I know there was talk at one point about them doing something called Arctic Shock, but that was kind of like thrown out. But I like this a lot better, frankly. I think this is, the whole city in the sky thing is way cooler than them being in the snow. Thank you very much. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm really looking forward to continuing to see what this franchise can do. I think in terms of delivering a fantastic story, this does it. This does it so hard. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to everybody out there. It's just critiquing this trailer, being like, it's nothing but action-packed, blah, 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 and it's screen filled with buttons and menus and stuff, and you know, this is mid-gameplay stuff that's happening that gives you an arena to test out your RPG mechanics you've been leveling up, and without this stuff happening, you know, what would be the point of it? So obviously there is that core gameplay mechanic, which is what we're seeing, which is action and shooting. It's an FPS game, but that's not what the whole game is about. It's just what they wanted to convey to the audience they were targeting. So, you know, don't be so hard on these guys. This is a great trailer, by the way. I actually do like the shots that they're showing here. It doesn't feel scripted. It actually feels like a lot of this was just sort of played by a guy, and they just sort of put it out as quickly as they could. Like, they got some guys like, how about this run? Yeah, it's a good run. We'll show that one. But yeah, it is running on an Xbox, which does kind of disappoint me. I'd like to see the PC version, because the PC one runs at 60 FPS, and this is 20. Ugh. And remember, this is still Unreal Engine 3, I believe, so, you know, it'll sing on most computers that just recently got Pixel Shader 3.0 as their update. If you could run Bioshock 1 fine, you'll run this one fine too. It'll maybe be a bit more intense in terms of what's happening on the screen with the amount of, you know, overlays and color correction and effects and particles all over the place, but you'll still be able to run it just fine on your PC, and I recommend getting the PC version for sure. Or if they do a Wii U version, I don't think they are. I haven't heard anything yet on that yet. If they do a Wii U version, you might like that. I've also heard good things about the PS3 version, but don't get the Xbox version, in my opinion, just because I don't like running the game at 20 FPS. Why would you want to do that? But anyway, there's a lot of Xbox gamers out there. I can't knock them. They make up like nearly 50% of what the sales of this game are going to be. So way to go, Xbox owners. You just keep enjoying your now 8-year-old hardware. Sorry if I'm making that sound bad, but it is kind of dated, and we are way overdue for a new Xbox to come out. And don't tell me that you don't think that. We are overdue for a new one. So anyway, that's it. That's enough of this. You've heard me. I've ranted way too long about various other things that don't have anything to do with Bioshock. So sorry. Have a good day. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you want me to do more commentaries and talks about trailers as they come out for both this game and other games. If you like this, I'll keep doing these. If you hate this, I won't. Just let me know what you think. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good day. See you next time!